Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. How are you doing guys? This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, we will be looking at a pattern recognition using the candlestick formation. And today's pattern is inverted hammer, and as the name is, it is actually a formation which can be read as the inversion of the hammer formation which we saw in the last session. But just like the case with the hammer formation, this is also used as the bullish pattern. Hammer formation is also used as a bullish formation, and the inverted hammer, even though we might have thought that the inverted hammer might relate more to the bearish formation, but there is a formation. If it forms in a downtrend, it is used as the signaling mechanism for a possible reversal, and if not possible reversal, you can use it for the trade optimization, trade management strategy as well, where you can look for the exit if you were short earlier. So let us head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. The chart is of Nasdaq. I will change it to most traded currency instrument, Euro USD, and to make reading into the data simple, let us change it to, I have changed it to hourly candle period. Alright, if you want to know where this formation is listed, all you have to do is go to the pattern recognition, and here you will find it on the lower side, as we have this long list of pattern recognition, the candle formation. We will have to search it, or if you don't want to go through all this hassle, there is always a quick search option, and that is much more easier. But just to be sure where it is listed, we can take this option also. Okay, now I got it in below this indic formation, or as I said, there is always this quick search option, inverted, and here all these indicators where the inverted word is used, inverse word is used, have appeared, and here is this one. Now I have applied to the chart, but it is yet to appear. Let us see where we can find it in historical data. This is not a common formation. Okay, alright, this is a inverted hammer formation, but we should overlook it. I will explain to you the reason just in a while. Let us look for a more solid formation which can be relied upon. This looks good enough. The candle length is also little more than this prior to candle, but still it is not ideal formation, the kind of which we will be in a position to rely on. Okay, this one looks much better, and its length of this shadow is also in line with this recent average volatility. So this I think can be taken into consideration. Now the basic concept is simple. You need this difference between the opening price and the closing price to be good enough. It should be large enough to cause this hammer formation, and what is good enough, that is going to depend on the average volatility which has been observed in the recent past. So you will have to pay attention to the recent volatility, and depending on that you will have to make judgment on whether to take into consideration a particular inverted hammer formation or to overlook it. So all that is going to depend on this volatility, average volatility. You can also use measures like ATR or other range finding mechanisms to define the appropriate range, and if you see that the difference between the opening and the closing price is large enough to warrant their attention, you can go for it. Then whatever is the difference between the opening and closing price, we take twice of it to be the requirement for the length of the shadow, and this shadow should be always on the upper side. That is the inverted hammer formation, where we have the upper shadow, which is at least the twice the length of the difference between opening and the closing price of this body of the candle. So that is going to mean that all of these length of the candle is going to be 3x of the difference between the opening and closing price. So that should be good enough volatility. And as I said in my introductory remark, we always have to pay attention to the recent volatility. Then what this formation signifies is that if the downtrend has been there in the instrument of our choice, and the prices have continued to trade in a declining manner, then at this formation, at this candle period, we see that on the lower side some buying is coming in, but that buying is not being sustained, and eventually the price again goes back to the levels where it started, not exactly to back to those levels. To have the real body, we have two conditions. It should have closed on the higher side, or it should have closed on the lower side with this real body. And now, as the requirement is that the shadow should be twice of the real body, that means in initial period of the candle, we had the buying momentum which pushed the prices higher, but that price was not really sustained, and eventually in the same candle period the decline pushed the price further lower. Now if the body of the candle is colored red, that is the the closing is lower than the opening, then that is also one thing to be kept in mind. And if it is green, that is the closing value, is higher than the opening price, then that is also a formation of the hammer, inverted hammer. But those two things are going to signify two different things, as we will have the closing price higher in one case and closing price lower in another case than the opening price. We will have to infer from that in the initial setup, when the closing price was higher than the opening price, that means the price initial spurt was at least to some extent sustained in the candle period. But when we have this closing price which is lower than the opening price, that means the initial momentum, initial spurt wasn't sustained, and fresh selling pushed it lower. So for this formation to be taken into consideration for a new trade, we will need further confirmation from the next candle, and how the consolidation takes shape in the next few candles. And in case we have the closing price which is higher than the opening price, then I think we can go for the trade more readily. So this kind of formation can be utilized more as for exit mechanism for the initial short sale trade, rather than for opening the new long trade. And when we have the inverted hammer formation with the real body being green, being with the higher closing value, let me find one of those examples. Most of these inverted hammer formations are apparently with closing value being lower than the opening price. In recent days, we have the USD downtrend, and this formation is not going to shape up too frequently. Maybe it looks like I will have to go for a, okay, all right, here it is, one inverted hammer formation with the real body being green, but its volatility is apparently not good enough, so I feel we can exclude it. But just for example purpose, it does have a real body green, and in the next few hours the price was indeed sustained, and then some spurt was observed on the higher side. So this kind of formation can be more readily used for the initiation of the new trade compared to the inverted hammer formation with the real body having in red. In this instance also we saw some spurt on the higher side, but then eventually again the price declined, and inverted hammer formation is going to form mostly in downtrend, and it is used as the signaling mechanism for the approach of the reversal of initial downtrend. So that's how this pattern is used as the bullish reversal pattern. Okay, so now that I have explained to you the basic concept, let us see what kind of editing options are available on the platform. So let me go back to the initial example. Okay, all right, let us see. We can't really do anything with the input, so nothing to do with the input. We go to the output. Now output, mostly we can do with the deal with the color combination. You can even go for a custom color combination. Suppose if you feel like having this kind of color, custom color, you can go for that. Okay, bracketing, or you can go for shading of the whole candle. I think bracketing thing looks better. So here the shade of the bracket has changed from earlier blue to this pinkish hue. Alright, now go to the advanced editing option, and here we calculate a new candle only. This is not going to make much of a difference. Highlight the time period zone since only single candle period is involved. Even that is not going to make too much of an impact on the chart. Calculate from the custom data. We can't really customize the calculation further. This option is quite useful when you have multiple indicators available on the chart on different time frames. You can reliably use these filtering mechanism to have a particular pattern recognition, candlestick formation on a particular candle period, and on other time periods you can have different types of indicators or pattern recognition. Now that we have opted for only hourly candle period, where this inverted hammer formation is going to be visible on the chart. If suppose, for example, I change to half an hourly, no inverted hammer formation is going to be recognized. Let me check inverted hammer, but it is appearing something. Oh, I opted for only hourly. Okay, now alright, now it has disappeared. Let us change to 15 minutes. No inverted hammer, but suppose if you want to add any other indicator, you can add that and see into the data points, and whenever you feel like, again you go back to the hourly formation and you will have this inverted formation back in play. So that's how this customization tool can be utilized. All right, so that's all from today's session of JForex indicators explained, where we saw the concept, the utility, the representative examples of how we can utilize the indicator for making our trading more profitable, more interesting, more fun, and always it is always about the bottom line. So we also saw how we can use this indicator formation for the trade management, trade optimization purpose. So thank you all for joining in. I'll be back tomorrow with the new formation, new examples to explain the new formation, some of the customization tools available on the platform. We will also dwell on that. So do come back. Have a fabulous time ahead and a profitable day. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.